So we're gonna start this series of seminars, and I'll just in a short while let you know what would be the topics for it, titled as Mind Management. According to statistics, close to 1 million people die every year related to mind disorders, and it is on the increasing scale. This disorder, the mind-related issues and problems are just increasing. So if I have to ask you, this is a question I would address to begin with for those who have come for the first time. What do you understand about the subject matter of mind or mind management? Any quick thoughts? Just let you know, those who have come, this is going to be quite interactive. It's not a sermon here that I just speak and you sleep off. I won't let you sleep off, don't worry. My eyes are on you. I'm looking around. So any thoughts? What is this mind management? If you'd like to say something, please go ahead.
Mind is the just thinking. If you think good or positive, the mind will also
Mind is
thinking.
Okay.
What you think is the mind. If you think about positive, the mind is going in positive. If you think negative, the mind is
Good.
also going negative way.
Okay. What is mind then?
Mind is a thinking process.
Mind is a thinking process. How do you recognize mind? I mean, let's say we call it tangible or non-tangible. If you call it mind is a thinking process, then it becomes non-tangible. Tangible means which you can perceive with the senses, right? So something which is non-tangible, how do you identify?
I will give you one example. The Sri Krishna says that don't think about past, don't think about future, be present. The mind.
Where does Krishna say this?
In Bhagavad Gita.
Where in Bhagavad Gita?
I don't know.
Yeah, the reason is there is no statement like that.
The think present, think positive.
So thinking is what you're emphasizing.
Yes.
I get it. Thank you. You may have a seat over here. Thank you so much for big round of applause for right answer. Mine is worth thinking. Just to add, what's your name? Avinash. Just to add to Avinash's point, because he was in the right direction. Mind is something which you cannot perceive. Is beyond perception. If something beyond perception has to be understood by its symptoms. So in general, you can divide, if you want to classify mind, you can classify mind in Hare Krishna. Can the kids be a little bit, maybe somebody can take care of the kids at the back. So mind can be classified into 3 states psychologically if you want to talk about it. First state is a controlled state, other is an uncontrolled state, and the third is in between of it. This is what something Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 6, verse number 4 and 5. We'll come to Bhagavad Gita later on, not in today's session. Today we're just going to do an introduction of this particular series. What control means? It has to be identified by the symptom. If a state of your mind is something when you experience peace, satisfaction, contentment, and as many motivational speakers these days talk about, positive way of thinking, you can call it mind has been controlled. If the mind had been uncontrolled, then generally the nature, the symptoms would be, in any situation, person would be very expert to find faults. It's all about complaining, whining, fault finding, etc. And as far as I understand, for most of us, in fact for all of us, will lie somewhere in between these 2 states. So mind is recognized by its symptoms. And I'm just going to give you some of the common day problems that people experience just to make the subject matter relatable before I really get into the topic for today. Let's name some struggles that individuals experience which are actually becoming pandemic quite a lot. Let's take a look. First is anxiety epidemic. It's an epidemic. This is not my terminology. This is a terminology given by doctors, particularly psychologists. We know about the COVID epidemic. Now there is something called as anxiety epidemic, which means individual is prone to be in anxiety. Anxiety about things that does not exist. Anxiety about the things that he or she imagines. Let me give you one or two examples. I had given probably before also here. Many years ago, back in 2013 and 14, when I started coming and doing programs for this corporate world here. So one of the gentlemen got connected. He attended some sessions on Bhagavad Gita, then he went abroad. And suddenly one day, after 1.5 years, he met me in the temple in the evening hour. So I was happy to meet him after a while. And he said, Prabhu, I want to talk to you. I said, okay, yes, go ahead. He said, I'm really worried. I said, why? He said, I'm worried about the well-being of my son, about the admission of my son. You know, these days school education is not good. So, you know, we have heard ISKCON has a school. Can I get my son admitted? I said, aren't we meeting after 1.5 years? He said, yes. I said, 1.5 years ago, you were a bachelor. And do simple mathematics, even exactly 1.5 years ago, you got married. According to the natural cycle, it takes 9 months for a child to appear. And in that 9 months, you add another 7 months or 6 months, make 1.5 years. 6 months old child, you ain't gonna get it admitted for the next 4.5 years, isn't it? So मैंने कहा, you're worried about your child, but I don't see your wife, I don't see your child. बोला, प्रभु जी शादी नहीं हुई अभी. मैंने कहा, तेरी शादी भी नहीं हुई है, तुझे भविष्य की चिंता है. This is called as anxiety. Let me give you one classic case which is discussed in psychology. Is about Hare Krishna, Diwali celebrations. Okay. A particular case which is discussed in the book of psychology about an anxiety epidemic is about a lady. It's a genuine case. It's about a lady who went to a doctor and she said, my stomach is aching. A doctor did all sonography, etc., whatever it does. Doctor did and said, there is no problem. Maybe you have some problem of indigestion and there's little gas. That's it. Take this antacid, everything will be okay. She said, no, I have tried antacid, everything I've tried, it's not working. Doctor said, well, I don't see any problem. She went like this to dozens of doctors. And nobody can console her, nobody can really answer her, why, or satisfy her. So finally she went to one particular doctor. Doctor diagnosed her and then he said, it looks like there is a frog in your belly. And she immediately said, yes, you are the first doctor who have understood my problem. So the doctor said, well, yes, you need to be operated. She said, do it immediately. Otherwise, how would I take the frog out? So doctor said, okay. She was brought into the operation theater, put under anesthesia, and the doctor took a knife and made a little mark on her belly and immediately got her stitched and told the nurse, go outside. In a hospital there was a pond. There are few frogs there. Just get one of the frog from the pond and bring it back to the operation theater. Nurse went back, brought back the frog, kept it on the operation theater table there, and the lady was brought back from the anesthesia. And the doctor said, having a frog in his hand, operation successful. And the lady said, oh my goodness, after months together, I feel my stomach so light. All pain has gone away. Now, a week later, the lady comes back. He said, doctor, doctor, doctor. Doctor said, what happened? You took out the father, but forgot the family. The mother and the kids are still inside. This is a case of anxiety epidemic. Now, you may not have that. I don't know how many of you have seen. But do you relate? We also sometimes get into this anxiety thing. And after a while we realize, well, there was no reason to be worried about. Anxiety is like a post-dated check, of which there is no guarantee it would ever encash. It is something of the future which we are thinking, which is worrying us in the present. And that future may not necessarily exist. This is how mind. So mind, just like Avinash, mind is an extremely powerful tool. Mind is a tool given to us to utilize us to make a better life for oneself. If it is a tool, it is meant to be used. Unfortunately, the same tool is abusing us because not knowing how to use the tool. Let me ask you, how many of you have heard about Facebook addiction? WhatsApp addiction. How many of you know about now these same social media platforms have become a cause of an abuse for an individual? Raise your hand. Now these tools, if I put them into category of tools, were actually meant to make your life, more livable, help you make more friends, allow you to, or give you an opportunity to connect with the world outside. The same tools which had a positive outreach or the objective became a cause of disturbance in your life. It depends on how you use the tool. So that's a whole subject matter. We have this God-given gift called as mind, which according to the best of the scientists, there is no as powerful supercomputer as the mind. The amount of information the mind can store, no other device has been produced or created in this world today that can store the amount of information the mind can. Such is the power and potential of the mind, but unfortunately we have no idea about how to use it and handle it. That's one of the objectives of the course. Let's take a look at another thing that we face. Second is misidentification. These are some common things we all undergo. What is misidentification? The nature of the mind is such, the moment you say, this is my table, the mind immediately attaches itself with it. And once the mind attaches itself, it always tries to protect it. For example, let's say you have an old ambassador of 1980s. You have been using it as a part of your museum. You have kept it in a spare parking that belongs to your neighbor who is not there. So you have left it there. One day you go in the basement, thinking of getting into your car, and suddenly you take a look at your old, pristine ambassador. And suddenly your heart sinks. And you see, oh, there is a big dent on my ambassador. How many of you think you will become extremely upset about it, that there is a dent on my ambassador? Raise your hand. I mean, if you go to sell it off, even kabada wala kahega, bhai aap hi le lo, mujhe nahi chahiye. Even though that has no value, you would get so affected. How many of you feel literally somebody has taken a knife and scratched, put a line across your chest? You will feel the pain, blood pressure increasing, heart throbbing faster. Meri gaadi mein. And then rest of the story. Usne kara hoga, mujhe pata hai, mujhse dushmani hai iski. And the mind goes on building a story after story. Yes or no? But my dear friends, I'm just giving an old example. I intentionally didn't give an example for a new car. Then I don't know, really will have a heart attack. Next morning you see your new car has got a big dent. But this is how we identify. Now, I'm just building up a topic, but just think about it for a second. If there is a dent, there is n number of possibility because of which it could have happened. Imagine you had actually come down with a family to go out for a picnic or something. You have a busy week, and after months together, your family, you and got together, you want to go out. Everyone is looking for that, maybe an afternoon, Sunday afternoon film or something like that, picnic. And now because you saw that, you're totally disturbed. Now, can we do something about it? Now, that dent is there, and you have something to do with your present, where you can really live your life. Two things can be done, many things can be done. One is, all right, what has happened. We can take care of it because it doesn't affect my present right now, because I have another car to get into it and move on to with my planned activity. Finish it off. When I come back, then I can take a look at it. Second thing, do I really need to get disturbed about it? Anyways, an old museum car, it's left over there. I can call a mechanic, let him fix it. Even if it doesn't fix, it's not an immediate need for making my life in any way better. Why should I waste my time and energy on it at this point of time? And maybe let me lodge a complaint to the society office. Let me ask them to figure it out who did that. Why should I waste my time and life in it? Yes or no? There's a possibility. So if you want to figure it out, what's the default state of your mind? You have to learn to become an observer and see how you give responses to different situations. Responses when you have not prepared. Responses when situation happens out of a sudden. What response comes from you will tell you what is the state of your living. How well you as an individual can control your emotions, have control on yourself, because mind means thoughts, and it is the quality of thoughts that defines our well-being. It is the quality of thoughts that defines our belief system. Belief system tells us how to live our life, what clothes to wear, what kind of hair dress, or what kind of hairstyle to have, what kind of movies to watch, what kind of food to eat. It all based on a belief system. And that belief system determines your lifestyle. The kind of lifestyle you live, it further strengthens your thought and it makes a whole circle about it. It all begins with thought. And if you have a positive way of looking at life, I'll talk about what positive negative means, then imagine how the situation would change entirely. Looking at different situations, we'll come back to it. Let's continue with it. I'll give you one case study and let's see what kind of response we'll give it to help you understand. That was an example of misidentification. Let's take another example. Distractions. Somebody said, a profound statement by an American professor. He said the world today is faced with the greatest danger not because of WMD, weapons of mass destruction, but because of the weapons of mass distractions. How many of you have an experience, let's say you wanted to go to YouTube to watch some tutorial and you forgot after opening YouTube what I came for? How many have that experience? after half an hour or 45 minutes, suddenly you start wondering, why did I open YouTube first of all? And then we have that Facebook wall. You know, you happen to go there, maybe what? Send a message, send an update. Hello world, I'm going to sleep now, see you tomorrow morning. Maybe some like that kind of update. And you suddenly forgot what you wanted to write and you're just going on, endless. How many of you have that experience? You have spent endless time going through the wall and swiping your smartphone on the laptop screen like this. Raise your hand. And after a while you feel, what the hell am I doing with my life? So okay, let me put it this way. How many of you find yourself that you very easily get distracted? Raise your hand. Raise your hand, both hands. How many of you say you easily get distracted? So what do you say? Healthy state of life or unhealthy state of life? Healthy? Healthy? Okay, now you're sounding better actually. Okay, unhealthy state of life. Majority of us. So these things, just like I believe in a message that I posted yesterday, I said, in our efforts to make this world a better place for living, we invented many things. We have great technology at our hand, at our disposal, smartphone, laptop, projector, whatnot. But while creating a guided facility, we ourselves became misguided. We lost the track for which we created all this thing. Why? It is all the function of mind. Therefore, Vedic scriptures, across the board, any aspect of yoga discussion, if you ever do it, it only focuses on one thing. Control the mind. Only one and only one thing. Control the mind. Which means take control of the tool, what is called as mind, to draw the picture of your life as you want to live it. Not get drawn or abused by it. Let's take another example. Anger. I guess these days, it's just a moment's time, people really become angry. Yes or no? These all are the symptoms of mind. There was a family, Sadar family, they had moved to Canada. And, so had come from the traditional family. And बच्चे हल्की सी भी नटखट करते थे. So there was a, family में free flow hand घुमा करता था. माता पिता का, हम में से भी बचपन में experience रहा होगा. आप यूपी में हो, हरियाणा के हो, बिहार के हो, कहीं कहीं हाथ फ्री फ्लो घूमता है तो कहीं कहीं लाते फ्री फ्लो घूमती है. I don't know about south, but north में तो जनरली हो ही जाता है. So this family, he moved there and the child was a little naughty. But because he started going through a school there, then in the school they were taught, if ever a father or mother raises a hand, dial 911. Dial 911. The police will come and put your parents behind the bar. That was the thing. So one day the child was a little naughty. As a child we all are naughty. The child became naughty and mother in a conditioned nature, she said, hey! उन्होंने हाथ उठाई, बच्चे ने फोन उठाया. माँ ने कहा तूने फोन क्यों उठाया? माँ 911. And mother said, what is 911? And the son told, mother, 911 has been taught by our school. If you ever raise a hand, we're going to call the police. And the mother was scared. She asked the husband, what happened? What is this? The husband said, if you ever do that, I would lose my life, I would lose my job. We both will be behind the bar and will not have the custody of our son. They'll take the son away. The mother said, oh. Now she has to really control herself. So weeks turn into months, months turn into almost a year. Can you imagine कितना खुजली मचता होगा यहाँ पर? बच्चे को बदमाशी करते हुए देखो, पर उसको चमका नहीं सकते. Finally the project ended. and the family flew from Canada and landed on Delhi. जैसे ही एयरपोर्ट पे आए, अब एयर स्पेस बदल गया, बाउंड्री बदल गया, लॉज बदल गया। अब बच्चे का 1 साल में कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ गया था। मां मार नहीं सकती, पर बच्चे को पता नहीं था कि अभी देश बदल गया है, लॉज बदल गया है। जैसे ही एयरपोर्ट से निकल के टर्मिनल पे आई, माँ ने ना बाप को देखा, ना बच्चों को देखा, ना ऑडियंस को देखा, बच्चे को साइड में करके 1 साल का विद कंपाउंड इंटरेस्ट निकाला। Anyways, I mean, we're talking about the symptoms, you know, that's the point. We don't want to miss upon this thing. So, yeah, do we have anything else? Yeah, like this, there are different ways we struggle with it. So, let me give you a case study. How, as I said, you want to understand what is the default state of your mind. In other words, what kind of response you will have, you know, in a situation can give you an idea what's the default state of mind. I'm going to give you a case study. Of course, it can vary, but just don't overthink. Let's give a simple case study. Of course, I understand if there is an urgent event, then anyone will become a little bit upset about it being stuck in a traffic. But let's say this way, that you don't have any urgent meeting, but you're just traveling, you're going by car one place to another, and there happens to be a lot of traffic. Signal after signal, or let's say highway, there's a huge traffic. What potential responses can we give? Okay, how many of you say there could be a response of frustration? How many of you say there could be a response of frustration, right? A potential response, there could be a response of frustration. Maybe somebody may start cursing the other drivers. Abey, side it! Rasta rok ke khada hai. Hota hai na, people honk a lot. If you ever be on the road and you're standing on a signal and it's a red signal, you can't do anything, and the person behind you is honking you. I mean, what can you do? Which shows he's really frustrated right now. And honking happens. So that can happen. What else possibly could happen? Anyone? Any quick thoughts? What could happen? Frustrated, over frustration. What else possibly could happen? Any other possibilities there? Let me say yes or no. Do you think there is any other possibility? How many say yes? Okay, so say what's a possibility? Coming out of the car, what, you want to plan to do bhangra there or what? I mean, you're stuck in a traffic jam. Oh, what will you do coming out of the car? That is out of the box thinking, good thinking. Anything else? Anything else? Yes. Lamentation. Oh, मैं क्यों आया आज? आज तो रविवार ही शनिवार बदल गया. You know, okay, you can lament about it. Yes. Read the numbers. What do you wish to do? Or just spend your time? Oh, spend your time. Okay, spend your time. Oh, really? You'll peacefully sit and do that? Okay, interesting. Yes. Yeah, anxiety. You would be... Hey, how many of you have that experience? Let's say if you have been a frequent flyer. If in case you're a frequent flyer, it generally happens. If you're a frequent flyer and suddenly, you know, your plane was supposed to land, let's say, in 5 minutes from now. And the air hostess have announced, okay, let's get ready for landing. Everything is ready. And suddenly, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, the plane is not landing. And it's going round and round to the airport. How many of you get into anxiety? Raise your hand. I remember when I used to travel. And it's like, Abey, ja niche. And that time sitting for additional minute becomes extremely painful. Although you're sitting in a very comfortable setup, it becomes extremely difficult. Okay, any other inputs? Yes. Yeah, that's ideal. Okay. I'll come to that. Yes. Wrong direction. Okay. Yeah, so because we are frustrated, we are talking about the possible consequences. Correct. We're not getting into consequences, but these are some of the responses. But is there a possibility of response like Madan Sundar was making a point? Hell with it. Let me enjoy. Let me play some nice music. And I'm comfortably seated in a car. Let me enjoy my life. I mean, I know I cannot do anything about it. If I cannot do anything about it, why am I becoming frustrated? Frustration itself means the situation is not in your control. If situation was in your control, why would you be frustrated? You would have solved it. But generally, most of us, majority of us, some of us could, but majority of us will not be able to do it. Unless we have learned to practice certain amount of meditation to give us that sense of awareness. One thing what we are really missing out today, maybe during the course of a discussion you will realize gradually, one thing that we think we know ourselves, but I can tell you seriously, one thing that we know the least is oneself. We have lost the sense of awareness. In management terminology, it is called as NIC. Very few of us know what I want, what are my needs, what are my interests, and what are my concerns. How many of you here have done SWOT analysis? You understand SWOT? Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. Raise your hand. Just raise your hand. How many of you found it painful while doing it? Yes? It is about yourself. And it becomes such a painful experience to write what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, opportunity, threats. Alright, that's about outside of us. But strength and weakness is all about us. It becomes extremely difficult. I would say that's not good. We here sitting say, I know about everything happening in the world. I know what's happening in Asia, what's happening in America, what's happening anywhere. But we don't know anything what's happening with us. If you don't know anything about yourself, think about the quality of relationship you will have. Relationship all depends on knowing each other. If unless we know each other well, how can you have a relationship? Here today, the person has failed to understand oneself. How many of you have, in case if you're married or in case if you have seen married relationship, how many of you have observed that in a married relationship, generally one statement comes across, "Aap humko samajhte nahi." Yes or no? Raise your hand. I'm making sense? This is so much true. Why only ladies are raising hand, huh? The man also, yeah, okay. Yeah, man, no? You should not be partial, then only ladies have the right to say, "Aap samajhte nahi." Ab बेचारा आदमी भी कहता है, समझते नहीं हमको क्या चल रहा है. Because the same thing like that. And that's the point here. Okay, so how would you respond? Anyway, so life management begins with mind management. That's the first step. You want to really take care of the quality of your life? First get control on your mind, or learn to understand how to manage your mind like that. So, imagine you are in Mahabaleshwar. Probably most of you would have aware of this. A nice, beautiful hill station. And it's a moonlit night. There's a famous resort called as Ram Sukh Resorts up on the mountain top. And it's on the top. So right across the valley is a Krishna river. On one side, and the other side is a very ancient Lord Shiva's temple. Imagine you have checked into the Ram Sukh Resort, which is a very expensive resort. Mother, you have made an endeavor to really have an experience of your life. You have traveled all the way from here, Mahabaleshwar, is not to cry, right? You have gone there to have a good life. You went there on a vacation with your mother, father, friends, family members, husband, wife, whatever it is. You went there. You open the window, and there is a fragrant breeze, because that Ram Sukh Resort is surrounded by the forest trees, the wild trees, and other fragrant flowers. You have a very pleasant breeze. And you look up in the sky, it's a moonlit night, and you look down. There's a huge white Krishna river. And the water on top of the river is glittering with this moonlit night. What a perfect setup. Suddenly your friend, your family member comes there and says, "Dhat tere ki, yahan pe bhi phone signal nahi." He or she comes and tells you, "What a useless place. There's no phone signal here." And how many of you say this is quite a possible scenario? Raise your hand. Quite a possible scenario. Imagine you had all the opportunity to really experience that environment, to take a break from your routine life, but the person chose to be in his own space. Although the situation have changed, but the response has not changed. So where it lies, response is our responsibility. And what response we give is generated largely by the mind. So we're going to speak about the science of mind, the technicalities of it. The mind is not only limited to thinking. The mind has three functions: thinking, feeling, and third is willing. We'll talk about it as the session progresses like that. So through this course, we wish to inculcate, or these are some of the following objectives that we wish to fulfill, is understand how mind works. Give you some tool set to develop positive self-awareness and self-esteem. I have categorically used the word positive. Positive self-awareness. A lot of people these days are undergoing insecurity. They have, I don't know why they have insecurity, for what reason. You have such a wonderful opportunity to live. Every day when you wake up, you have another day to make a contribution. Yet people are, for some reason, are insecure about life. Because somebody have passed a comment, somebody said something about you, and they take it so seriously about it. Unnecessarily, they lose their self-esteem. So I'm making a point. Develop positive self-awareness and self-esteem. Take control of life's experiences. Just like going to Mahabaleshwar, I decide what I'm going to do. Not my conditioned nature. I'm not going to make a hue and cry. I have not traveled all the way to Mahabaleshwar to talk about the Geo phone doesn't work. You know? No. I take a control of my life. That is what means living. That's the difference between humans and animals. Animals act according to instincts, act according to the conditionings. Unfortunately, humans are going in that direction. But oh, sorry, I didn't finish it. Yeah. And then define your future through mind management. This will be our second topic. We're going to talk about what mind management is all about, and understanding that, now you determine how your future looks like. Explore principles that sustain positive living. Create one's own reality and make daily living a positive experience. So life that we have today is determined by thoughts. The quality of life that we live is determined by the quality of our thoughts that we have. That thoughts create a reality, what we call as a belief system, as I made a point before, and then it gives us into a kind of a lifestyle. Let's talk about for a second, just to help you understand how important it is. Let me ask a question to all of you. What all adjectives would you use to define good relationship? According to you, what is essential for any good relationship to exist? Yes, please. You can just speak up loudly. That's okay. Speak up loud. Huh? Trust, correct? Trust, understanding, caring. What else? Integrity, respect. Who said? Very important, respect. What else? So some of the things. Yeah, go ahead, speak up loudly. Attitude, right behavior, like that. So let's look at something. Trust, integrity, care for each other. Now, doesn't it all depends on what your mind is all about? Imagine the all trust and trust issue begins with what you think about. It all is a function of mind. In other words, let's define it in a positive, negative. If in case we have a negative outlook in a life, negative outlook means a person often looks at faults. You know, there's a classical example of a glass half full and half empty. You know, you might have heard it many times. When you look at the glass which is half full, what do you say? Half empty, half full. Similarly, determines your outlook on the life, positive or negative. Somebody who has a negative way of looking at things, which means he's always looking on the worst side, assuming worst side. Even if you have the best of the person in your life, you'll make that relationship the worst. The problem is not there. The problem is here. Even if you're having difficulties in a relationship, but if you have the mindset of giving a benefit of doubt, the mindset of let's try once more, the mindset of respect, even if that relationship which anyone and everyone thought probably would not work out, there's all the possibility that it would work out, because it's all about how you look at it. Like this, the mind controls everything in your life. To put it in a nutshell, the quality of life that you live or that you want, it all depends on the state of mind. Mind is a tool. How you use it, how you condition it, it will decide your destiny. So in this series of talks, seminars, we're going to have 6 topics, beginning with Kabhi, Khushi, Kabhi, Gham, mind management, mindfulness, hijack. Another subject is about habits, cultivating tolerance, and the last topic will be yoga for modern age. However, in 2023, I also wish to speak on a subject matter on the art of forgiveness, because I'm experiencing this has become a big issue now. We've become too much prone to having a revengeful attitude and not learning that how and why it is important for us to forgive. So I'm going to add this topic for the first time in this series, and that would become the seventh topic. We'll try to do it. I ain't promising, but we'll try to do it. It's tough because I'll have to really think about the topic to begin with. Okay, so what would be our approach while trying to talk about how to fix the mind? For any problem, there are two ways of it. Let's say somebody has got a pimple. You can go and apply a medicine or cream. Allopathy doctor gives you cream. In the morning you wake up and you see, wow, the pimple gone away. And then you're shocked, oh, the pimple came here. That's what happened with the, with the cream. It moves from here to there. That's one way of it. Second way, if you know the pimple is because of impurity in the blood. And if you go to any Ayurvedic doctor, he'll give you Ayurvedic medicine which actually purifies your blood. However, it may take some 3 to 6 months. So one is an immediate solution, another is going to take a time, you can call it as gradual, but however it fixes the problem. Here we're going to try to do the same, both. We'll try to discuss and simultaneously give you the skill set where you can do immediately something and also something with which you can really rectify this issue over a period of time. Because changing our thoughts is not easy. कहते हैं कि कुत्ते की पूंछ को सीधा करा जा सकता है, पर व्यक्ति की मानसिकता को बदला नहीं जा सकता. It's a very difficult thing, and particularly when you're grown up, there's not one parameter. This is just a beginning. I'm going to share many parameters how our mind functions, and you'll get to understand, but there is a possibility. All right. So let's begin our topic for today, titled as Kabhi, Khushi, Kabhi, Gham. We're going to do it in two parts. I'm going to present you some problem statement today and give you some part of solution, and we'll continue with the problem statement in the second part of it. So to begin with, I'm going to begin really from the beginning. Really beginning means right from the womb of a mother. I just want you for a second think about it. If I ask you, define life in one word, what would you call life as? What possibly way you can call life as? You know my answer, that's already there. If I look at it, life is full of surprises. But what possible answers can you give? One word, define life. Yes? Struggle. My goodness, middle-aged person only can give struggle-full answer. Ask a child would not say struggle. Something which is, okay, good answer, yes. Opportunities, okay, that's really positive. Okay, good answer, yes. Live, okay, yes. Happiness, okay. Somehow the responses changes when you come in a forum like this. If this question would have been asked, in a one-on-one conversation, the answer would have been a little different. But no problem, we can think about it. Yes. Compromise and sacrifices, good. Anxiety, okay. Everyone is speaking from their present reality. Experiences, good. Yes, please. Time. Life is all about time. Yes, please. Life is all about enjoy. Correct. One last answer. Gift of God. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. All of you have said the right thing. But if you put it one thing, I feel we can really define across the ages in one word, that is surprise. Why I call it surprise? I don't call it, this is how the Vedic scriptures present life. Because every moment is a surprise. We don't know what's going to happen next. And I want to take you along with me a little bit on a journey and to really get an idea how life is full of surprises right from childhood. Before we do that, I just wanted to watch a short video. I saw this long ago, and when I saw that, I immediately realized, this word tells me about life is all about surprises. Things happen out of a sudden and we don't know what's happening. Let's take a look at it. Hopefully the sound will work.
I get no kick from champagne. Pure alcohol doesn't thrill me at all. So tell me, why should it be true that I get a kick? Flying too high with some gal in the sky is my idea of nothing to do. That I get a kick. You give me a boot. I get a kick out of you.
All right, let me just go through with this journey of life. I mean, there is one thing, I just kind of spoke about this just to bring about a very important point. There's something about our life, two things I would say. One thing, there is always constant change around us, right from our childhood. And despite that constant change, there is something which constantly never changes. The two realities which are going along with us. I'll repeat my point. One is always changing. Second, there is something within us which never changes. Okay, I mean, none of us would remember our really early childhood days, but imagine if somebody is parent, they know what it means to be. You know, any one of us, every one of us were born, we didn't choose our parents, we didn't know our name, we didn't know whose mother, father. I mean to say, we were totally ignorant. Totally ignorant. Everything was told this and that and whatnot. And suddenly we learned to walk. First we learn to crawl, then we learn to walk and move around. And Sunday we say, Ma, Ba, something, something. And the mother, hey, mera naam bola. And the mother, no, he called me. Then there's an excitement because the child begins to speak and all that. It's pretty interesting. Until some time ago, there was no intelligence. And suddenly intelligence began to function. I was visiting Washington, D.C. This was many, many years ago when I was in America. I was visiting one of the family there. And they were the host. There was some event. They were hosting me. And along with them, I went to a church. They had a daughter by the name of Annie. Very young girl. So, before entering the church, the mother said, Annie, what did your father teach you? Why it is important to maintain silence in the church? I was like, ये छोटी सी बच्ची से क्या पूछ लिया इतना बड़ा सा question? She was something which is fully dependent on the parents, And she suddenly looks at the mother. She said, Mama, because everyone is sleeping. I mean, I so vividly remember, मैंने कहा यार ये छोटे बच्चे होते बड़े बदमाश हैं. The child until some time ago had no clue. And just grown up, began to walk. And she, because generally, as I said, kids a little bit stay behind. There is something going on with the kids making a sound. And the father taught the child, don't make a sound. And mother asked, why did your father tell you to make a sound? Because everyone is sleeping. And we all have done that. We all have done that. We go from kindergarten age, we come to first, second, third grade, and we are becoming smarter. Things are changing. Our external features are changing. External form is changing. Our level of intelligence is evolving. I remember back in America, New York City, there was a school, Christian school, and the teacher asked one day, and she said, okay kids, I think this is first or second grade. The teacher asked, okay kids, tell me who is the greatest man ever lived in this world? Whoever gives me the right answer, I'll give you $20 bill. They call it bill there, $20. I'll give you $20. So many kids raised their hand. Somebody was from a Scottish background. Teacher called for him. Yes, what's your answer? He said, St. Patrick. Somebody from an Irish background. So the teacher asked, okay, who is the greatest man? He said, St. Andrew. And there was one Gujarati, Mr. Patel. And then finally the teacher pointed at Mr. Patel. Yes, what is the answer? And he said, Jesus Christ. Teacher said, yes, that's the correct answer. Christian school, what do you expect? The teacher, the teacher called this boy and she said, Mr. Patel, you're from Gujarat. And I have heard in Gujarat, Krishna is worshipped. So why did you tell Jesus Christ? He said, well, the truth is, Krishna is the greatest man ever lived. What to do? At the end of the day, business is business, You're talking the first or the second grade. It's interesting, until some time ago, we had no sense. And we are evolving, we are changing. Like this, we grow, we come into teenage years. How many of you remember your wild teenage years? Suddenly something happened. The whole reality changed for us, isn't it? There's a true story of a devotee who was expressing, he's from America also, and he was saying when he was 7-year-old, his elder brother was 9-year-old. And his brother would tell him, the girls are from different planets. The boys are from different planets. The boys got nothing to do with girls. So he was telling that, my brother would tell me, men are from other place, women are other place, we got nothing. They are young kids and they would play together. So like, we're not going to play. How many of you remember fighting when you were young kids, boys and girls? Regular thing like that. So he tells, well, suddenly 3 years later on, which means now his brother is 12 years, hitting teenage years a little early. One day, the younger brother who's now 10 years old, now this student or the boy, he's coming back from the school, right at the corner of the road, he sees there's some skirmish going on. There's some little kind of a halla gulla is going on. He comes there, goes through the whole rush, and behind that, inside that whole group of people, he saw 2 boys having a fist fighting. And in that he saw one of the boys was his brother. He said, oh, my brother, my brother. And some of the friends said, wait, don't go there, don't go. So the boy asked the friends of his brother, why these 2 friends? They were such a good friend. Why are they fighting? And the friend said, both of them have fallen in love with the same girl. It's just 3 years ago. This is a real life story. And he was making a point. He said, you know what? 3 years ago, the same boy, the same elder brother of mine was telling me the girls are from different planet, the man, we got nothing to do with each other. Suddenly the teenage years comes. There are a lot of hormonal changes, a lot of change of perception, reality because of hormonal changes. Somebody what we felt was alien, we become attracted. Things like happen. The point I'm making is, isn't that changes that are undergoing, none of us asked for it. None of us asked for it. It just happened. We are forcefully put into all through this situation. And then, lo and behold, we somehow enter into college life. And that is definitely full of surprises. Aane wala pal, on the exam day. Jaane wala hai. Open the paper. Kuch to hua hai. Kuch ho gaya hai. Your college life goes on with that kind of a song, singing, looking at the paper. Then you finally get a job. Then now comes family pressure. Beta, bas जीवन का अंतिम सुख. शादी कर ली, सब कुछ प्राप्त हो गया है, and of course vice versa for the lady also. So I had a friend, he's working in a big company back there. This is all when I was in America. So highly talented boy. So he called me one day. He said, what? I said, yes, how's life? I will not name him because this is getting recorded here. So I said, how's life? He said, all is well. He was from a Jain community. And, they do have strong traditional values. So he said, you know what, I have finished my MTech now. My father really wants me to get married. So I have started looking for a spouse. I said, okay, all the best. I said, what kind of a girl you're looking? He said, I'm looking for somebody who's beautiful, kind, compassionate, a little spiritual minded, and also practical. I said, all the best. Figure it out if you find somebody like that. So he ventured out wherever he had to venture it out. After 3 months, he called me up. He said, let me tell you something, I found one. I said, really? He said, yes, I found a girl who was beautiful, kind, compassionate, spiritual-minded, and practical. I said, so when are you printing the marriage card? He said, no, it didn't work out. I said, why? He said, she was too spiritual-minded. She didn't have any sense of practicality. So we broke. I said, okay. His search continued. After 6 months, he called. He said, you know what? I found a girl. I said, where is the marriage card? He said, didn't work out. I said, why? He said, the girl was beautiful, kind, compassionate, spiritual-minded, practical. But the problem with her was she was too practical. So practical, she actually didn't need me for anything. In fact, she became a nag to me. She started organizing and managing my life. So I said, nothing gonna work out. He continued for 2 years doing this search. Another 1.5 years later, he calls me up. And I said, Abhi ho gaya? Shadi ka card chapa? Bola, haan, is baar to sahi. I said, what happened? Did you find? He said, yes. Right now I started conversing with a girl. She is really the one I was looking for. Perfect girl, perfect girl. After a week he calls me. बेचारे की आवाज में कशिश का एहसास करते मैं समझ गया इस बार भी मैरिज का कार्ड नहीं छपेगा. So I asked him what happened. He said, you know what? She was absolutely perfect. So I said, why are you not getting married? Or what to do? She said, I am not perfect. And we all know those who have gone through the stages, it goes on and goes and goes on. You get married, things goes on. You go midlife crisis and you become old. And the life moves on. If you call it from womb to tomb, the life continues like this. Moving through all the sudden surprises, sudden changes, finally the end day comes and moves on. Once again, the point that I'm trying to make here, behind all these external changes that we are going through, there is something within us that has not changed, that remains as it is. What is that? Let's take a look at it. Behind the curtain of continuous changes in our life, according to Bhagavad Gita and scriptures, there is something within us which is unchanging, which never gets affected by the changes of the external world. How many of you at least acknowledge what I'm discussing? Is that a fact? Do you acknowledge? You look back a few years before, how you look and how you look today is very different. And what you're going to look tomorrow is also going to be different. Which means, some of you, if you see your childhood photos, you will not say, ye main tha. You might need a second evidence. Beta, tu hi tha ye. We have changed so much, we may not even remember and identify I was that boy or a girl while I was growing up like that. So, what is that thing which does not changes? What changes we have already discussed. And according to medical science, every 7 years we have within the body we have a new cell, which means the whole body changes. In other words, if in case you are 49 years old, you have already died 7 times. This is how the medical science treats you. If you're 49 years old, you've already died 7 times because 7 times you've got new body. And the body is nothing but a cluster of cells, as they call it. So I'm going to raise 3 questions here for all of you. First, we're going through this whole experience of life. There are experiences where we call it, yeah, I was happy. And there are certain experiences where we were really depressed. So my question is, who suffers and who enjoys? I have intentionally titled this topic as Kabhi, Khushi, Kabhi, Gham. I'll give the purport next time. But, we take it for granted. We say Kabhi, Khushi, Kabhi, Gham. Tararam, pam, 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 whatever it goes on like that. No, that's not what it is about. There's something more to it. So we're going to take a look at it. Who suffers and who enjoys? Who is experiencing all these changes that we are undergoing? And third, a very important thing. This is what life is all about. How many of you have heard, बेटा जीवन यही है, खुशी और दुख, इसी को जीवन कहते हैं. कितने लोगों ने सुना है ये महावाक्य? पता नहीं कौन सी महाभगवत गीता से, मुझे नहीं पता. Somehow this has become a standard statement. So, a little bit fundamentals. For any question, there are 2 ways of answering it. One is science, which relies on our senses and mind, and spirituality, which relies on revealed scriptures, which are considered as Word of God. We have discussed that in the past. I'm going to be very brief with it. And often it is considered as a science and spirituality are in contrast to each other. No, I'm sorry, that's not fact. Science and spirituality do have commonalities. What are the 2 commonalities? The first commonality is the science and spirituality both begin with faith. Let's talk about science. There is something called as axiomatic truth. Axiomatic word in itself means self-evident. No proof is required. For example, imaginary number. Now, imaginary number, so many theorems are based on imaginary number. So, won't you say the theorem itself is imaginary? Now, you have a point which is a non-dimensional entity, but you draw multiple points and you draw a line that becomes dimensional. Third law of thermodynamics. There is no evidence, there is no proof, but axiomatic. Similarly, in spirituality, there is certain axiomatic truth. You're not the body, but spirit, soul. The God exists, spiritual world exists. However, the difference between the 2 is the axiomatic truth in science can never be proven, but the axiomatic truth in spiritual life can be experienced and can be proven over a period of time. You can experience the reality about it. It means you can understand and realize you're not the body but spirit, as Scripture says. And both of them have the same pattern. We remember when we were 8th and 9th standard, we used to have a lab. You study something, you go to the lab, perform an experiment, and whatever theory was taught, if it concludes with the same result what was taught, you say it matches. Similarly, in spirituality, in Vedic culture, Vedic knowledge, there is a theory, experimentation ground, and then conclusion. So theory is called as science of yoga. Called as science of yoga. That's what Bhagavad Gita is teaching. Bhagavad Gita is teaching about yoga. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, which is divided into dhyan yoga, hatha yoga and dhyan yoga, and then bhakti yoga. What is Bhagavad Gita all about? Yoga. So similarly, the theory is science of yoga, and yoga is applied on oneself. So experimentation, the ground of experimentation in spirituality is oneself. Therefore, spirituality becomes very difficult. People don't want to work on themselves. How many of you would agree with that? People want others to change. Let me put it this way. How many of you would prefer, let this person, a friend of mother, father, my spouse change? Don't tell me anything. Raise your hand. Everyone is looking at another person, he or she should change. Don't talk about me. If there is something about me, no, I would not agree. How many of you agree with this? Kindly raise your hand. Hi, hi, hi. Raise your hand. I'll tell you 100%. Either you have not understood or you're too humble to raise your hand. I will not say humble, you're probably not realizing the meaning of it. So that's a point about it. Therefore, people find spirituality difficult because now I have to work on myself. Nobody wants to work on oneself. That's where spirituality, they kind of want to ignore it. So these are the two commonalities, and we're going to present our subject matter both on the basis of science and spirituality. But before we begin with, let's establish the certain fundamental truths of life which we had established in Gita in a nutshell course. What is that? All of you please repeat after me loudly. First, the body is not all in all. Arey, statement repeat karo. Not complete the statement. I said repeat the statement. Okay, I'll say that again. The body is not all in all. Soul exists. This was one of the lessons from Gita in a nutshell. Second, this life is not all in all. Reincarnation exists. Third principle, or third fundamental truth. This world is not all in all. Spiritual world exists. And the fourth, I am not everything. God exists. So I'm not kind of giving you a sermon here, but those who attended Gita in nutshell course, these were the conclusions. How many of you agree with that? Who did Gita in nutshell course? We had done this discussion, right? So I'm just doing a recap for those who had attended Gita in nutshell course. Alright, let's begin with, by the way, are you tired, exhausted? You still have some breath? We can continue on journey? Okay. So let's begin with, now, who am I really? Can I have a volunteer? Just do a little quick exercise. I would request an individual to come up here, if anyone would like to. Don't worry. No public chastisement. Darne ka nahi. You just have to do simple hand gestures. I'm going to tell you something and do that. Very simple. Koi bhi aana chahte hain, aa jaiye? No. New audience, not the old audience. Yes, please. What's your name? Sagar. Sagar, you can be here. Face the audience. And Sagar, I'm going to tell you something. You just have to do gestures. Okay? No, nothing to worry about. You look like getting into stress a little bit. Chill out. Nothing complicated. Alright, I'm supposed to make a little bit, reduce your stress, not increase your stress. Okay. So Sagar, right? Sagar, just look straight and hear my words. Okay, why don't you close your eyes? That's far better. You'll be a little more relaxed that way. Sagar, where are your eyes? Gesture with your hand. Where is your mouth? Where are your shoulders? Where is your head? Where are your ears? Where are you? Why did you laugh? मैं तो हंसा नहीं, आप ऐसे हंस रहे हो? आप लोग क्यों हंस रहे हैं? मैंने तो कुछ भी नहीं बोला. Why did you laugh? Okay, once again, Sagar, where are you? Okay, now you can open your eyes. He's scratching his head. Okay, give a round of applause for Sagar. Okay, just quickly, what happened with where are you? Okay, let me ask, Sagar, did you feel a little confused about that question? A little uneasiness? अरे तो आना नहीं था ना यहाँ पर बदमाश. That would have become more natural if somebody new was here. So generally what happens, if in case you were going through the exercise, where your eyes, where your nose, mouth, ears, everything we know. Where are you? Hey, wait a second, what did you ask? That's what your mind going to say. Where am I? And suddenly mind goes all over the place. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Let me ask you, where are you? You know where your hand is located. You know where your eyes are located. You know everything about different parts of your body. My question to you is, where are you? Now that's become tricky. Now when you say, I ask, where is your hand? You say, here. If you ask me, where is my laptop? Is this correct? Ooh, Goranga. Static current. All right. Or maybe current. So if I say, somebody asks me, where is my laptop? I'll touch it. I say, this is my laptop. Now, where is my hand and where is my laptop? Which means, I am not the laptop. Is that correct? Is that correct? When you say, if I ask you, where is your body? You will point to it. Where are you? Where are you? Now, what this? You put your hand on your chest and say, what do you mean by this? Okay, I'm going to draw something for all of you and let's see if it makes sense. I'm going to sit out for this. All right, so I believe all of you are able to see the screen here. Okay, so we're going to talk about, who am I? Let's take a look at it. According to modern science, we exist in two levels. Our reality is in two levels. Okay. My handwriting is not so bad in general, but I'm not kind of used to this. We cannot change the color here, right? With one note, fine. So if anyone knows, you can come and tell me how to do it. So according to modern science, we exist in three levels. Go ahead, draw. Perfect, we got it. So, size, perfect. Okay. So first is, ये तो बहुत ही मोटा हो गया. Alright. Okay. This is okay. One is called physical self, that is called as body. And second, the science recognizes it as mind. Oh, Goranga. And this is the relationship between the body and mind. Let's talk about Vedic scripture. They talk about our existence in three levels. Is that visible to all of you? Okay. What is this existence in three level? There are three boxes that represents our life, and I'll give you a very simple example to help you understand that. First is physical body, second is called as subtle body, third is called as soul. Bear with my abbreviation. Body is what you see. That's okay then. Body is what we see, and then we have subtle body. Subtle body is made up of three things: mind, intelligence, and false ego. We're gonna go into a lot of details of these subject matter, and we're gonna, right now what I'm drawing is like a bird's eye view of our existence. With every session we're gonna zoom in each of these sections and look how they interact with it. And then we have soul. This is body. Body is made up of five things: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Are we on the same page? You know, there is a water, there is a fire, digestive fire, in 98.4 Fahrenheit, etc. So earth, water, fire, ether, these are the five elements because of which the body is made. Subtle body means mind, intelligence, false ego. Soul. What is soul all about? Symptom of soul is consciousness. And the nature of soul is Sat, Chit, Ananda. Let me give you one logical evidence of how you're not the body but spiritual. Generally, people want to live as long as possible. Yes or no? Quickly raise your hand. Agree upon? That's because of the need of the soul. Sat means eternity. Chit means knowledge. Everyone is curious about something. How many of you have curiosity about something? That is called Chit. That is the need of the soul. How many of you want to live miserable life? Raise your hand. Some people raise their head. Okay. Sorry, I asked a question, not how many of you want to live a blissful life. So how many of you want to live a blissful life? That's the nature of the soul, Ananda. That proves you're not the body but spirit soul. Logical evidence. Of course, the subject matter we have done in Gita in nutshell, in detail. We're just doing a recap. Now, this is the three-level thing over here. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So this is hardware. This is the software. And this is the user. Who is the user? Atma. Hardware is the body, software is the subtle body. And in that also, mind is the main component. I'll give you this analogy just a short while, but let me give one analogy right now. Mind is like an operating system for a computer. Mind for you or for me is like an operating system for a computer. Soul, as I said, is the root of consciousness. Then the mind becomes the R-O-U-T-E, root of consciousness. So what we want, all our desires gets manifested through the function of mind. Now, as I made a point before, all of us want to be happy, right? But that's not what our experience of life is. So where does the problem lies? Where does the problem lies? It's with the mind. Because all your desires are going through mind. And if the mind is corrupted, you will not get the experience that you want. Now, what is the problem with the mind? Mind has 6 issues. What we can call it as 6 viruses. Okay, there is no other colors. Okay, let's try this colorful thing. Oops, okay. Mind has 6 enemies. 6 enemies. What are those? Lust. Sounds familiar? Anger. If it sounds familiar, say yes whenever I say it. Lust, anger, greed, envy. आवाज धीरे धीरे कम होती जा रही है. Pride. So Kama, Krodha, Lobha, and then illusion. Illusion means cheating. We get cheated. We get bewildered about it. So how many of you have recognized the 6 enemies in your neighbor? Raise your hand. In your friend, in your neighbor, in your manager. How many of you have recognized these problems with people around you? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you have happened to realize something like this within you? Raise your hand. High up, high up, high up. This is our story. So, because of this, the experiences that we should have, we are not able to have because who is the culprit? Mind is the culprit, and I'll give you evidences for it. I'm just establishing subject matter. Let's a little bit add to this. What is life? What is death? Life means, or let's talk about death. Death means when this connection or when this gets disconnected. When the communication between the body and the mind is lost, that is called as death. And at that point of time, because I don't have much color, so I'll deal with whatever color I have here. At that point of time, this called as ghost, bhoot, pret, pishash, vital, etc., etc. These are actually facts of life. Now, because he doesn't have a gross body, but he has a subtle body, this is what is the meaning of bhoot. The meaning of this word bhoot, when you have a discussion in Vedic scriptures, it means somebody who does not have a physical body. Now, who becomes ghost? That's not my subject matter for today, but this is what it means. Now, what is birth? When the same thing enters into the womb of a mother, where he is given a body, plus this combination. This is called as your birth. Which means the mind that you're carrying with you is not a product of this lifetime. I have spoken in the past about the science of dreams. You know, we have discussed about reincarnation, the past life memories. Just for those of you who are new here, how many of you have had dreams where you saw yourself flying in the sky? Raise your hand. How many of you have had dreams where you saw yourself drowning in the water? Raise your hand. How many of you had a dream that you saw yourself running in the forest being chased by a lion? How many of you had a dream you saw you were chasing after a lion? you know, you know, you would have had. So, okay, let me put it this way. How many of you had a very strange dreams, which has got nothing to do with this lifetime, and has nothing got to do with the movie that you saw? From where did those dreams came? These are nothing but a part of your, what you call a subconscious mind. Mind is a subject matter which we're going to introduce. We're just introducing here. It all begins from there. So the mind that we have is not of this lifetime. It is coming from past lifetime. Remember the story of a 7-year-old boy and his elder brother 9-year-old. Suddenly when the body became capable of having a relationship with opposite gender, suddenly the desires manifested. Yes or no? Which means the desires were within. The desires were all within. But when the body was capable, now the same person, the same boy began to develop an attraction for the opposite gender. Yes or no? We all have gone through this experience. This is how the subtle body functions. Now, let me give you an example to help you understand this. I guess I'll have to tweak it back again. How do we do so? Yeah, here we have, and hopefully extend. We got something here, and great, we are on this. So what I've just told you here, let me help you understand with an analogy of a smartphone. All of you have a smartphone with you? So to operate a smartphone, you need three things. You need a hardware, you need a software, and you need a user. I'm going to be quick now because time is less. We need a hardware, software, and user. Now, if you want to call up a friend, which means you pick up a smartphone, you dial a number, and that is a function of a software to take your input, communicate to an hardware, do the transition and translation, and then perform a physical function of dialing and calling up. And when it is dialed in, again the signal is received by the phone, and through via the software you're able to again communicate, get better. Yes? So for you picked up the phone to speak to a friend. Let's imagine you're dialing a number 400, 400, 400. But each time you press 4, it dials 8. Each time you dial 4, it dials 8. How many of you say you'll be frustrated? Yes? That's not what you wanted. You want to dial your friend's number whose number is 400, 400, 400. But you're dialing 400 and each time you press 4, it presses 8. Now, second thing. Imagine if this is how your phone had been working and you have no idea about phone. Let's say imagine you give your phone, smartphone to your grandmother who has no idea of technology. You give it the phone to her and the moment she presses, it always dial 800. What do you think she would think? She would think maybe this is the default condition of the smartphone. Yes or no? She will not call it as infected. So the point here is, just like a smartphone comes with a default setting, which is called as software. Similarly, we are born with the default settings. Each one of us is born with a default. We have our own set of thinking, feeling and willing. Even therefore, in the previous course, we talked about reincarnation. Even for that reason, even twins will not have same thinking, feeling and willing, because they all have had a different subtle body. Externally they look same, but the internal mechanism is different, therefore their thinking, feeling and willing is different. Now, so let's go back to the example. Three things are needed: hardware, software and user. So if you want to type 400, it dials 800. So obviously you'll get frustrated, because now why it's dialing something else? Because the software is corrupted. When a software is corrupted, then it's not going to give you the input or the output that you demand. So the problem is with the software. That's the first thing. Similarly, in our life, we all want, whatever we do in our life, we only want one thing: happiness. Correct? No doubt. But why do we have responses of complaining, fault finding and nagging? Why do we have responses of complaining, fault finding, nagging, whining? Why? Who is the culprit? The software. What is the software? It's the mind. Are you getting the point here? It is the mind who's producing the faulty response, but each one of us wants happiness. If we use infected machine for long, then condition could be considered default condition. Similarly, all of us think, this is what I am, accept it and live it. I cannot be changed. But the matter of fact is, Bhagavad Gita teaches us, you can be changed. Every one of us can change for our own betterment. The possibility is there, the mechanism is there. All that knowledge is given how we can evolve ourselves. And who can identify this? Only a computer literate or smartphone literate who knows what is an actual function of a smartphone can tell you the smartphone is infected. Similarly, you understand life, what life is all about. Only he can tell you this is not the way to live a life. This is the way to live a life. That in our Vedic scriptures is called as Guru, the special master for that reason. Who we are, what our purpose and so forth. So once again, it is the problem with the software which is giving us an altered response. Why? Because software is corrupted. The problem is with the mind which is not letting us live the life that we want to live it. The problem is with the mind. And how our mind is corrupted? There are not one virus but 6 viruses. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. Right? 6. Ho gaya. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, envy. In English you can call it. These are the 6 viruses and all of us have it. So what the science of yoga is all about? The science of yoga is to fix this problem which is within all of us. It's an epidemic. It's a real epidemic. And there's nobody who is not affected by it. The moment you're born in this world, you're affected. You're corrupted. That is how this thing functions. And therefore Lord Shri Krishna spoke to Arjuna the science of Bhagavad Gita so that we can change our life. We can live a life that we deserve and that we want. So, coming to the concluding things, who suffers and who enjoys now? So that was one of the questions. Who suffers and enjoys? Physical body which is made up of earth, water, fire, ether. We have a table here. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Can it experience any pain or joy or suffering? No. Which means the body is also made of earth, water, fire, ether. Even it cannot experience. I know you will say, Prabhuji, if you pinch me, it will hurt me. No, that's a sensation because the mind is not something localized within your brain. Mind is present in the form of consciousness along with the nerve currents. We're going to have a detailed discussion what happens under paralysis. When somebody has got a paralysis, he does not have any sensation. Why? We'll talk about it in the third topic. When we talk about, not third, the second topic, mind management, mindfulness. We'll discuss this case study. What exactly happens under paralysis from the perspective of Vedic scriptures. So it is the experience of mind which gives you this feeling of joy and suffering. It's all about that. The soul is Satchitananda. It's always blissful. The body is matter, cannot experience. The body cannot experience, soul is always joyful. What remains? Mind. It is the mind that undergoes the experience of joy and suffering. So what is mind ultimately? Mind is nothing but a cluster of thoughts. And that leads to thinking. And that leads to feeling and willing. Feeling means emotions. Willing means I will do it. The desire to perform an action. That all comes from your mind. It all begins. Let's say all of you are sitting here. There was some thought process. And that thought process would have led to some emotion. Maybe, we're going to get some good dinner. Let's take a break to revive to cook. Some emotion connected to it. Maybe, there's going to be some worthy discussion. Or maybe let's go and spend some time together and have some experience what it is about. And that brings you to willing. Any action you perform cannot be independent with emotions. Which means there is always some emotion connected to it. Some sense of elation, happiness, joy, some kind of experience. That's how. So that is what is all mind does. This is just an introduction. Largely, it's a cluster of thoughts. It's like a cloud technology. As I said, it's nothing but an operating system for a computer. So, how to fix this temporary position? Let me quote you science here. It's a study done by the professors, neuroscientists of MIT and Harvard. Bear with me, you probably cannot see. And they did a study on benefits of meditation. Not the monks, not the sages of India. The neuroscientists of MIT and Harvard University. And they found something very interesting. What did they found? They found in a study in the journal Brain Research Bulletin, the researchers found that people trained to meditate over an 8-week period, which means 2 months, were better able to control a specific type of a brain wave called as alpha rhythms. I'll tell you, maybe I would have a presentation for it, a slide for it next. Our data indicates the meditation training makes you better at focusing, in part by allowing you to better regulate how things that arises will impact you. In other words, what it says, the meditation helps you create self-awareness, understand what are your needs, and then accordingly you can respond to it. Further things, the study is a beautiful demonstration of the effects of meditation training and of the ability to cultivate internal awareness of one's own bodily sensations, says Clifford Saran. The subject trained in meditation also reported that they felt less stress than non-meditators. So what is a solution for dealing with the mind is meditation. And now the modern scientists are doing research making the claim which you already find in Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna have said it time and again. Next time I'll be quoting Bhagavad Gita shlokas for you. The researchers are now planning a follow-up studies in patients who suffer from chronic pain as well as cancer patients who have also been shown to benefit from meditation. If you go to a doctor, I don't know how many, but actually if in case you have any family doctor or friend, you ask him. They'll say the major cause of your health issues is not physical problem, is a mental problem. It all begins, you're overstressed, you're overthinking. Because of that, emotion is created which turns into a pain point. This is a medical term which they call as a pain point, where suddenly certain part of your body begins to pain. And then it becomes like a prolonged, because you have not fixed it. Why? Because you have not expressed that emotion. And emotion is holding on. Emotion is an energy. And a vent has not been given to it. That emotion turned into a physical pain, where for some reason somebody's back would pain, somebody's shoulder would pain. So they're saying, we have seen that those who regularly perform meditation, they even have an experience of having a better physical, better physical health. They find themselves more healthy, mentally less stressed, intellectually more aware, and spiritually more joyful. That's not Krishna speaking, that's a scientist from MIT and Harvard making a claim. Now if you just look around the last few points, just we talk about some religions all around in the world which are prominent. Every religion in the world today talks about, not now, from the beginning of the ages, about meditation. Yes? Let's talk about Christianity for that reason. This says, Christ glorified the Lord's holy name by saying, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. They have beats. If you've seen Christians, they're always chanting, many of them. Sikhism, I went back. Guru Nanak prayed, in the ambrosial hours of the morning, I meditate on the grace of the true name. They also have the beats, meditation. Islam, Muslims repeatedly chant the sacred name of God, Allah. And then Buddhism. Buddhists also practice the repetition of the name of Lord Buddha, Namo Amit Butsu. Interesting. Look at any religion, any part of the world. They always had some practice of meditation. And you will see, generally you will find who are true to their practice, they are often very calm and composed. Yes, a little bit, you have the experience? And it is not only that we are speaking from India. And similarly in Sanatan Dharma, we have the chanting of the names. And we have many devatas, for them we have different names that we chant on. What we chant, what we meditate, according to what is prescribed in Bhagavad Gita, Man mana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Krishna saying, absorb your mind remembering me. Krishna, absorb your mind in remembering Krishna. So this is the mantra which is given in the scriptures to remember Krishna. Everyone can repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And I'll like to urge you, theory is as much as beneficial, or these discussions are as much as beneficial, if you can just take out 10 minutes every day in your life. We potentially going to meet next Saturday. So if I can request you to take 10 minutes beginning from today or tomorrow. How many of you say you can take out 10 minutes beginning from tomorrow until the next time when we meet? How many of you can do that possibly? Okay. I mean, you're pretty obedient students. You didn't even ask me what I'm going to use for 10 minutes for. Or maybe you guessed it. You know, you're putting too much blind faith right now. Anyways, I'm joking. So for this 10 minutes, I want all of you just sit in your any neat and clean place and chant. Please repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Do it for 10 minutes. Take a mobile, put a timer, and you know what's going to happen? You're going to experience two things. You're going to experience four things, but let me tell you what you're going to experience. Or maybe you will have this experience by the end of next week before we meet next time. First, you will see pacifies the mind, free the mind from clutter. No, that's not correct. There's something else going to happen before this. You will experience that you have a mind. Seriously. No, I'm not making a joke. I mean, you believe that you have a mind, but you don't have an experience of it. There's a difference in knowing that you have a mind and in having an experience of mind. And what I mean by experience of mind, the moment you will sit and try to focus, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Suddenly you will see your mind running. That is what the very first experience you will have. The part of self-discovery, the step one, there is something beyond your body. You also have a mind which will begin to run away. And what you have to do, how many have gone to gym before or goes even now? When you go to gym, you lift a dumbbell or anything, you pull it up, you don't just do like this and come back home. Ho gaya. You release also and again you lift it. Similarly, your mind gonna wander. Bring it back. Wander. Bring it back. Wander. Bring it back. Try this for 10 minutes. For some of you, you were like, oh, kya chal raha hai ye? You know, just like if in case you have gone for the gym for the first time, when you come back your body pains. Similarly, for the first time you'll feel, ooh, I did some really mental exercise. And don't stop it. Do it consecutively every day. I'll tell you, it will become an addiction. The amount of peace and satisfaction you'll begin to find. For example, when the first day you went to gym, you did it in your excitement and you come back, your body pains. Now you get a relief from that body pain, you have to go back to the gym again the second day, the third day, and the fourth day, you begin to feel a sense of relief in your body. Your body begins to loosen up. Yes or no? If it can happen to the physical form, imagine what will happen to the subtle. So release, no, don't release, it will automatically get released. Distract it, bring it back. Do it for 10 minutes. What will happen? You will see the mind becomes free from clutter. After a few days of practice, the moment you sit down, you begin to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. You see suddenly your mind begins to calm down. Again, I know this is difficult. That's what I said. Spirituality, why people don't want to accept? Because you have to practice it. But let's see how many of you can do it. And exercise the mind, it offers a positive distraction and introspection. What are you chanting? Krishna and Rama. Who doesn't know Krishna and Rama? I don't even have to introduce Krishna and Rama. The moment you begin to chant Krishna and Rama, soon you'll begin to remember about Krishna and Rama. And when you begin to remember, when your mind is absorbed about great personality, you're talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead here. Similarly, you will attract those qualities within life. That will be subject matter to take it forward. With that, for today, we'll conclude here with this. So our major subject matter was what is covered in this particular slide here. We began with, I believe there is no pointer here. That was the first thing. We began with about what is the aim. We spoke about mind. There is thoughts and there is a belief system and there is a lifestyle determined with it. Then we talked about few triggers of mind, anxiety epidemic. You remember the frog lady? Misidentification, the example of car, distraction, Facebook, YouTube, anger, etc. We discussed about it. Then we defined, we talked about the journey of life. We begin from womb to tomb. We are undergoing changes, but there's something within us never changes. At that point of time, we raised three questions, which is at the bottom here. Who suffers and enjoys? Who experiences his life is all about? To explain that, we went and discussed about who am I? We had an example here. Sagar has come up over here. We have done that experiment. Who am I? We know where hands and legs, everything, but where am I was a little confusing for that reason. Then I drew a three-level model of the self. According to Vedic science, we exist in three levels: hardware, software, and user. Body, mind, intelligence, false ego, and the soul. We describe body, earth, water, fire, ether. Mind means six enemies, and then we describe our soul, Satchitananda. And the connection between the soul and body is via the mind. Mind is the root, R-U-T-E. Through that, the soul interacts with the body, the desire gets fulfilled. And to help you understand that, we give an example of a smartphone. If a smartphone is corrupted, which means software is corrupted, you want an input A, you get input B. Similarly, each one of us want to be happy. But the experience of life is not happiness. Why? Because the mind is corrupted. Mind is corrupted what? We are corrupted with anger, lust, greed, illusion, pride, and enemy. The 6 viruses. Therefore, scriptures talk about yoga. To fix the mind, the process is yoga practice. So then we came back again to the question, who suffers and who enjoys? We talked about it. Body is matter, soul is Satchidananda. It is the mind which undergoes. I'll give you more evidences of it, second part of it. Who experiences? Mind. And is this life is all about? This third question, we'll take it next time. Before I conclude, who suffers, who enjoys? Let's take a look at the nature of mind. Imagine you're sitting in a restaurant, you're having your favorite dinner, probably watching nice cricket match, something on a TV screen. It's a plasma flat screen TV, which is maybe 55 inches, and you're having your dinner. Suddenly, the restaurant gets robbed. Some thieves comes inside and they rob the accountant, and 2 thieves comes and they dislodge the TV, flat screen TV, and they walk away. You're sitting and having your dinner. What potential responses will you give? What potential responses? What potential? Let me ask this thing. How many of you think, यार चोरी हो ना हो, खाने का बिल तो भरना है, चुपचाप बैठो खाते रहो? How many of you think, let's finish our dinner, चुपचाप अपने घर जाओ? How many of you think, we'll probably just have our dinner and just go back? You know, what can we do? You know, it's nice. How many of you think you will try to call up the police and you let them know, or maybe you take out your phone and take photo and, you know, Facebook live, hey, I'm getting robbed. You know, maybe something you go live streaming. How many of you do this? Or how many of you think you're going to get up from your place, hey, how dare you? I'm going to fight with the thief. How many are going to fight with the thief here? अरे कुछ तो करो भाई, कुछ भी response नहीं है. ठीक है, indication है भाई, बस खाना खाने तो अभी बहुत हो गया. Okay. Let me just complete this equation. Imagine, come back to your home. You know, in the hotel you were eating your favorite food. Maybe you come back home, you know, there is some afternoon khichdi that was cooked. There is nobody to cook anything, so you just take out from the fridge and say, okay, who's gonna eat it? You sit down and start eating. And you have a 21 inches ONIDA TV of 1980s. Remember that बड़ा वाला डिब्बा? वो आपको क्या कहते हैं? What do you say? Maybe दहेज में मिला है. Something like that. I'm just joking. So you have that 21 inches TV and you're watching some Ghisapita TV, some Ghisapita program because something should happen. Suddenly now your house gets robbed. Okay? And nothing is stolen from your house except for the 21 inches Ghisapita TV. How many of you think, hey, Hariwal, kahan ja raha hai? How many of you are going to chase after the thief now? Raise your hand. How many of you? क्या मतलब क्या कर रहे हो? You're confused. मतलब this was hypothesis. How many of you think you're really gonna do something to stop their stealing? Raise your hand here. That's pretty interesting. You know, that 21 inches TV, which was of no use, is the same situation. Is the same situation. I mean, kind of a same situation. But some of you may not agree. प्रभु जी, ये तो मेरे घर की बात है. वो तो रेस्टोरेंट था ना. Who suffers and enjoys? It's all a function of mind. My house, my TV. Someone else's restaurant, someone else's TV. Where this identification happens, it is all the function of the mind. That is how the mind controls our life. We'll continue this discussion next time. Bear with me, I guess we really went over time. But this was an introduction, so I just wanted to give you a little background. Next time onward, we'll go more on the subject matter that we discussed. So next time when we meet, we're going to discuss the second part of this Kabhi, Khushi, Kabhi, Gham. Until we meet next time, I hope and wish you all the best. Hopefully, Lord will give you the strength and courage to take out 10 minutes every day, where you're going to sit and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you all for your kind attention. If in case anyone would have any question, because I know it's getting late, after the announcements and when you've gone for your dinner, I'll be here. I can meet if anyone has any questions. Hare Krishna.